So introducing a very special guest whom I have the pleasure of interviewing today. He's an established New Zealand international with over 100 caps to his name across formats, has a strike rate of over 115 T20s. He's capable of producing golden knocks, and he's done so in high-pressure knockout matches. And of course, he's one of the funniest guys in world cricket. And we found that he laughs about his own jokes as well. Jimmy Neesham, welcome to the CricBlog podcast. Thank you so much for joining today. I know you're busy, so it really means a lot. How are you?
Yeah, good to be here. Yeah, obviously in the IPL bubble at the moment. So just kind of milling around, getting gym work and stuff done, and looking forward to game 2 in a couple of days' time.
Cool. So we'll touch on the bubble a little bit later, but maybe starting on a bit of a somber note. Like we had the Shane Warne Memorial last night here in Australia. He's loved by everyone at the Royals. How did you react to the news of his passing? And did he have any sort of influence on your cricketing journey?
Obviously it was, incredibly shocking news. Always shocking news when someone so young passes away. But I think the tributes over the last couple of weeks or so from guys that were close to him has all been really touching. And I didn't have a whole lot to do with him. I met him once, really, a few times just in passing, as you do sort of in the cricket world. But we actually sort of had a couple of beers together after we played the 100. Our team played against Warnie's team, London Spirit, last season. And had a few beers in the change room with him and Owen Morgan after the game. And my very brief interaction with him was very similar to what a lot of other people have spoken about around him being fun to be around and pretty sort of carefree. We didn't know each other in any aspect, but just sit there and have a laugh and talk cricket. And one of those things where you look at your watch and all of a sudden sort of 45 minutes have gone past when you went over with a beer.
That's so true. Yep.
A couple of sentences. So. He obviously seemed like a great bloke, and obviously, the people that are closer to him and knew him a lot better than I did have had a lot to say over the last few weeks. And it's obviously always a massive loss when the cricket world and I suppose just the world in general loses someone of that character.
Yeah, so like his time for everyone was a common theme. So yeah, he will be missed. In terms of the IPL for you, I'm sure you'd be glad to be back in the competition. What do you think makes the league so special?
I just think the quality of cricket is better than anywhere else in the world. I think it's you have 4 overseas players. It's the best players in the world. Looking at our Rajasthan Royals,
tough to get in.
It's pretty ridiculous. Even training in the nets and seeing the talent of guys that aren't even making the playing 11, as far as guys like Navdeep Saini and Kuldeep Sen and guys that bowl serious pace and sort of struggling to even make the playing 11 is sort of a testament to how high quality the competition is. And it's one of the circled events on the world calendar. So as you mentioned, it's great to be involved. Obviously, been involved with a couple of different setups in the last couple of years, and it's just a great opportunity to better yourself as a cricketer, I suppose, and sort of test yourself against the best in the world.
For sure. And now it wouldn't be a Jimmy Neesham interview if I didn't mention one or two of your social posts. When you were announced as a Royals player, you put an Instagram story up of you dismissing Sanju Samson as a way of announcing your arrival to the Royals. How important is that bit of alpha male dominance in cricket, even if it's your own teammates? Well,
he's got me back since I joined the group. We had a warm-up game the other day, and my team batted first, and I hit quite a big 6 at the ground, and I was sort of walking around going, that's the biggest 6 anyone's hit so far this tournament, kind of thing. And Sanju walked out, batted second, hit one about 20 meters further over the roof of the stadium. And I talked to him, I was like, come on, mate, like you got to give me more than 15 minutes with the goal. So I think he's alphaing me back with his performances in the nets and stuff. He's an unbelievable cricketer. It's a real privilege just to be able to see him go about things day to day. And obviously the first game a couple of days ago, he was absolutely outstanding as well. So
he was,
it's great to watch guys like that go about their business.
Hitting him beautifully. And Speaking of hitting them beautifully, like as an Aussie, like myself, I wanted to thank you for knocking out England in last year's World Cup. Like a brilliant performance like that coming in under pressure, how much of that is practice based and how much is that of that is mental based? Like, what are you sort of thinking when you come out in a situation like that?
Well, I think, first of all, you've got to want to be out there. I think,
Yeah.
it's one of those things that takes a lot of work. I suppose, earlier in my career when I was younger, that those sort of situations were quite daunting. And, you sort of, you're on the field and the captain's looking for who to bowl the last couple of overs, and you kind of go to fine leg and hope he sort of doesn't see you and that kind of thing, and sort of shy away from it. But I think, when I had a bit of time away from the game, that was what I really missed about playing cricket, was being involved in those pressure situations and sort of the excitement level and the nerves and that kind of thing. So now I suppose when I'm involved in those situations now, it's a positive thing. I sort of think, how good is it that I can, still be involved in the sport and in pressure situations. And I think the reality is, as an all-rounder, I mean, you're batting 5 or 6 and bowling, the back end of an innings as well, is you're going to find yourself in those situations a lot.
100%.
So if you're afraid of them or you shy away from them, it's going to be a long career. So I think it's just about embracing it first and foremost, and just understanding that pressure actually makes the game easier. It doesn't make it harder, because other people are more likely to make mistakes. So if you can just stay calm and stay level-headed, then you'll get opportunities to score. So it's not going to work every time. You have to embrace that you're going to lose a few games as well. But you get a real opportunity to achieve something special when you're involved in that time of the game.
That's a really good way of looking at it. In terms of the Royals this season, what do you think maybe some of the key factors could help break the trophy drought? Like, I personally believe that this is their best chance in a number of years, given how strong the squad is in terms of depth when you look at batting and bowling. Do you feel the same way? Yeah, what are those key factors you think that put the Royals on the cusp of winning the title?
Yeah, I think, it's very difficult. We're talking about potential changes to the team, at breakfast this morning, and thinking of ways that we can fit players into the 11. But it's a really settled starting 11. Obviously, I think one of our massive strengths is the spin bowling attack with Chahal and Ashwin. Through the middle, they're both really high quality operators, and hopefully for us, with the tournament only being played at 3 or 4 venues, hopefully when those wickets get a bit tighter and a bit more conducive to spin, those two can really come into their own. When you've got a batting order with guys like Jos Buttler and Sanju Samson, and actually Rian Parag seems an incredibly talented batsman as well there at number 6. So look, we're confident. Obviously, 1 from 1 is the start you're looking for, but it's a really long tournament, 14 games and about 8 weeks. So there's a lot that can go wrong in that period of time. So for us, it's just about trying to stay as level as possible. And we've got the best possible example in Sanju Samson as a captain, as far as just, staying level-headed and getting the job done. So we certainly won't be getting, overexcited about our prospects. We'll stay quietly confident and sort of keep preparing for each game as it comes.
Nice. I mean, you've mentioned Samson a few times. Was he a player that you were looking forward to playing with at the Royals? Like, can you name a few others, when you joined the Royals, to say, I'm looking forward to playing with this guy or training with him and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the best things about the IPL is being able to, live day to day with these guys they're so quite high quality and watch how they train. And Sanju is definitely one of those players. Jos Buttler is another that, I was excited to join when I saw the team. And I think the thing that strikes me about Sanju is that you can sort of see the quality of batsmen when you play against them in games, and you get a feel for, how they strike the ball. But you don't really understand until you can watch them, training day after day and hitting balls day after day, and you really get a sense of how high quality they are. And Sanju played a couple of shots at training a couple of days ago, and I looked across at Daryl Mitchell, and we just sort of looked at each other and went, wow, that's a hell of a cricketer.
Yeah.
So, for him, leadership obviously it works for him really well as well. He likes captaining the team, and I see huge things for him in his future, not just IPL wise, but international cricket as well. I think he's an incredibly high quality cricketer.
Fantastic. I think he's going to put you in the team after he hears all this. So, like, as always, there's always strong teams in the IPL along with the Royals. It's a very competitive league this year with 2 extra teams. Is there any team or two out there that you think, yeah, they're going to be up there challenging as well? Like, is there a team that you're keeping an eye on in particular from a personal perspective?
Yeah, look, I think first of all, when you mentioned the two new teams coming in, I think that actually has had an effect of evening the playing field a lot. I think, in the last few years, there were teams that were, distinctly better than a lot of the other teams competing with them, and on paper. And I think with the big auction and the addition of the extra two teams has really made every team look quite even. I think, I would look at teams. I think Kings 11 or the Punjab Kings have a really strong looking lineup. I think Kolkata as well is another one that have high quality spin through the middle, like we do with Chakravarti and Narayan. So I think those are the two teams that I look at and go, they've got a really good chance to be challenging at the back end of the competition. But as I mentioned earlier, it's such a momentum game and it's such a long tournament that any team can get on a roll and win 2 or 3 games in a row, and all of a sudden they're the favourites. So I think for us it's less about sort of about the other favourite teams and more about just preparing as best we can and sort of looking to get through it ourselves.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, before you were saying like you love the pressure situations, bowling at the death, but is there a player or two in this tournament or a few players you're like, oh, I'm worried bowling to him?
Oh, that's the thing about being a batting all-rounder is that you're worried about bowling everyone, I think.
Yeah.
It's just the game situation can really have hospital passes from time to time when you have to sort of bowl the 19th over with the other team's 172. You go, oh, God. But I think, there's a few big West Indian lads around,
definitely,
the Pollard and Russell and a few other lads that hit the ball pretty hard. So, it's all about, embracing it. And
yeah, definitely.
We've played enough cricket around the world now with a lot of different guys that you've pretty much played with or against everyone before. So it becomes about your own execution. Everyone knows what everyone's trying to do. There's sort of no surprises anymore. So it becomes a lot more about just execution and trying to stay as simple as possible.
That's so true, because all the head-to-head stats and the matchups and all that, like everyone knows what you're going to do, what your strengths are. So it's about nailing those as best as you can. It's a good point. I mean, in terms of the Black Caps, like, what do you think it'll take to go one better this year? You got so close in 2019, and then again last year. What's the key to lifting that trophy later this year? Is there anything you should do differently, or is it just get there again and then third time lucky, it'll happen for us?
Yeah, look, winning the toss will probably help a little bit.
Yeah.
It's not really the thought process, I suppose, of our Black Caps team. We don't, specifically target tournaments and go like, what did we do badly last time, or what can we improve? I think it's about just turning up and trying to be better as individuals every day. And there's so much water to go under the bridge, before that tournament even happens. I think we've got a 3-test series in England, and then, 1-day series, in Ireland, Scotland, Netherlands and West Indies, and I think another one in Australia as well, but before that tournament even starts. So I think the best thing you can do as a team preparing for a tournament like that is get your ducks in a row early and have a lot of experience together as a playing group pre-tournament. And then you can enter the tournament with a settled team and everyone knowing their roles as best as possible. I think that gives you the best opportunity to perform. And as we've seen in the last 2 or 3 years, 4 or 5 years in these global tournaments, is they come down to little moments here and there. The 2019 World Cup, we scraped through against South Africa in the group stages, beat West Indies by about 3 runs or something, and all of a sudden you find yourself in a knockout game, and if you win that knockout game, you're in the final. So it's so on a knife edge, the tournaments. We could easily have not been in the semis at all, in either competition. So it's just about taking those opportunities when they present themselves, being the calmer group under pressure, and sort of accepting that playing well doesn't guarantee you a spot in the knockouts. You've got to have a few things go your way as well.
Yeah, true. Speaking of 2019, I hope it wasn't too heartbreaking to see Joss Butler, interact with him.
Yeah, we've had some discussions.
Can imagine.
Yeah,
can imagine.
I mean, you can either treat it as the elephant in the room and sort of avoid the whole competition.
Yeah,
just go straight in on day one and talk about it. So Joss is obviously pretty happy with his MBE or whatever he got out of that tournament. And I had the pleasure of knocking them out in the 2020 version a couple of years later. So we'll call it 1-1.
Definitely. Speaking of one of your legends, I mean, Ross Taylor's currently playing his final series as a Black Cap. Tell us about the impact Ross has had on New Zealand cricket and even for you personally.
Yeah, he's obviously been an absolute giant of our game over the last 20 years, really, 19, 20 years. I think early 2000s he debuted for New Zealand, which seems like a different era at the moment. But he's just been, such a quality performer and such a great guy to get to know off the field. And, I tell a story about, when I first got picked in the Black Caps in 2012, he was having a series off. There was sort of the captaincy change and that sort of thing was happening. And he wasn't coming on the tour. And, a couple of days after the team was announced, I got a phone call from an unsaved number on my phone and sort of answered. And it was just him saying, "Hey mate, Ross Taylor here. Just wanted to, wish you all the best for the tour and all that kind of thing." And I just remember sort of thinking that, we didn't know each other at all at the time. And, he didn't have to do that. I imagine he probably called, the other 4 or 5 guys that were, debuting on that tour and said the same thing. And I think that's probably just testament to his character that he's willing to make those phone calls and talk to the young guys and sort of offer his experience off the field. And, that's the thing that you'll miss as a teammate, I guess, is, yes, you'll miss the runs and the catches and all that kind of thing. But I think just, the sort of individual he was is what'll leave a hole in our group. But I think he can be proud of, the influence he's had on shaping our culture over the last, decade and a half and sort of watch on with pride, I suppose, over the next few years, knowing that was a huge hand he had in creating that culture.
Brilliant story there. Now, you personally, you're a very funny guy, and I've seen that here firsthand. Terrific sense of humor, but share with us some of your tactics and strategies for like dealing with the bubbles and the hubs, because I know I can imagine it would be a bit tough. What do you get up to?
We myself and Shimmer and Hetmeyer were talking last night about the bubbles and stuff, and we're fingers crossed this is the last one we'll ever have to do. Hopefully, IPL next year, opens up again and is a bit more sensible. I think we're seeing great examples around the world now, and the NBA and the English Premier League and other competitions on how you can run competitions without a bubble. So I think it's just one of those things where I think being aware of each other and other individuals and aware of your own emotions is probably key. I think if you just try and ignore it and sort of act like everything's fine the whole time, then I think that's when you kind of hit the wall at the end. And I've had some struggles as well. I think T20 World Cup last year, I really battled in that bubble just because of the lack of freedom and lack of autonomy of choice and that kind of thing is really important to me. So for me, it's just about having options really is really important. No, and as small things as, when you go to the gym and, when you eat and, that kind of thing is really important. And I think giving other guys freedom to spend a day in their room if they don't feel like coming out and sort of not trying to make people do things and, come to dinner with us and that kind of thing. Just allowing everyone to have their own sort of space is nice. Pretty crucial. And winning helps too. So if you can win all the time, then that makes everyone a lot happier in the bubble.
100%. Finally, just before we finish, immaculate hair. What's the key? What's the secret to some great hair management?
Well, I got my man back home, Kep, in Mount Roskill. He's my guy I've been going to for the last 10 years or so. So
good shout out.
Shout out to Kep and Mount Roskill. I'm not sure a lot of the listeners will be nearby, but look, I just think keep it simple. Brush it a lot. Shower every day.
Good advice. Advice. So anyone listening on Spotify or anything like that, go head over to YouTube. We'll be on YouTube and check out Nisha's great hair. Jimmy, that was awesome. That was the best interview I've ever had. It was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for your answers and your time. You're very generous. So really appreciate it. And all the best with the season ahead.
No worries. Thanks, mate.